Hi loves, I'm Ellie Frost, and on this channel we're talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about red flags. Don't ignore these red flags. You might be dealing with a narcissist, right? So there are more red flags than I'm going to talk to you about, but let's talk to some main ones here. First is love bombing, right? Now, love bombing takes several forms. Ultimately, with a narcissist, they are going to project the illusion of who you need and want them to be, right? So in a romantic relationship, that could look like it could be grand, like gifts and holidays and things normally quite fast that are of a grand gesture, but it doesn't always have to be. It's just because they work in the psychic realm. So in my work, I teach that narcissists, true narcissists, are soul detached, acting with an entity of consciousness that we're calling narcissism, which is why they all act in the same ways, right? And love bombing is just the projection of an illusion, right? So if you find yourself in a relationship and you kind of want to bring the person back that you thought you met, you're still kind of holding out, believing that the person they portrayed to you, that maybe they told you, maybe they seem to demonstrate certain values to start with that they're not living up to. You're normally with a narcissist if you're now confused as to who this person really is, right? Because they cannot sustain the person they project themselves to be in love bombing. And during love bombing, they're going to do whatever it takes to get you on the hook. If that is grand gestures, if it is calling you all the time, they might seem really, really keen, but not always, right? I know that narcissists will also play the long game if they need to, right? Because they have multiple sources of supply. But love bombing is, as soon as you see, they're not who they seem to be, right? And they may talk about things as if they care about certain things, but they're not living up to that. They may talk about how much they love their kids, but then you find out they don't really spend any time with their kids, or, they're not living what they're presenting. And if you're being rushed in the relationship and sort of swept off your feet, right? Too fast for you to actually think about how you're feeling. We can get so excited when we meet someone, right? And there's nothing wrong with being swept off your feet. There isn't. But it's just being aware that you might be being love bombed. So remember to ask questions. Really see how they demonstrate their values rather than just talk about them. They might talk about, trust is really important. Yeah. Narcissists are serial cheaters. So, find out things about them, ask questions, check in with your body, stay in your body, be very present in your body. Sometimes just rubbing your arms and that kind of thing just helps center us. And so we can actually be in touch with our intuition. Don't ignore your intuition. That's another point, right? Do not ignore your intuition. A red flag, right? If you start feeling something's off, what is human nature a lot of the time is not to just then take it as we try and talk ourselves out of our feelings, right? Be really in touch with your feelings. I have a free PDF on communication tools that you can use with narcissists. If you'd like a copy, email me, ellie@elliefrost.com, ELLIE, because that will help you in communicating and staying in your body, right? And listening to your intuition in these scenarios, which is really important. It's totally free if you want that PDF. But pay attention to your senses. Right? When we get a bad feeling about someone, usually, often we stay, in that relationship wanting to know why. Well, if you're with a narcissist, you are going to find out why you had that off feeling. But so many people will say, oh, I felt it was off and I just tried to talk myself out of it because I didn't know why that person was off. Or I thought I was just overreacting to something, or, I didn't have a logical reason why I was feeling icky. Right? If you're feeling icky, it's a red flag. Your intuition knows. Now, there is also things that we might feel icky because we're afraid of being in a relationship again. And so we have to work out whether it's coming from a wound and our trauma or actually our intuition. Yeah. But I mean, even if it's triggering your past traumas, right, then that is still see how that person reacts to you sharing that, if you're ready to share that. I'm finding this conversation really triggering. You talking about, for example, your exes is triggering me because my ex, for example, could have cheated on you or whatever. But see how this person reacts to when you describe how you're feeling emotionally. If you're devalued, if you're invalidated, if they keep doing the same thing again, that's a red flag. Yeah, if you said that it's important to you or something that is sensitive for you. And that brings us on to the next one. Pushing of boundaries. Oh, narcissists love to push your boundaries. Yeah, they'll probably do this quite fast. And if you're being love bombed, right, because we've been presented with this great shiny toy, you know, the person who, if it's romantic, or even a parent will love bomb you, and although they could treat you badly in, you know, if they're a narcissist in the long term, they'll occasionally be really nice and really sweet. You know, they'll know when to turn it on and turn it off in order to cause the trauma bond, right? So pushing of boundaries, right? This happens in just like simple ways, right? Or they might guilt trip you and make, this is another one, guilt tripping, is they're renowned narcissists for guilt tripping, making you feel guilty for setting a boundary, right? They're always pushing the boundaries, right? Why? Because they are primarily concerned with power, domination, and control of you, right? So they want to erode your boundaries. So eventually in the relationship, you'll have none, and you'll let them do whatever they want to you, and you'll be so trauma bonded, you'll have to stay there and be their source of supply. Next one, being pushed outside your values, right? So often with narcissists, we've ended up with a cheating partner, maybe a partner that was married, maybe a partner that has pushed your boundaries sexually and, you know, got you involved in things that aren't aligned with your values. It could be as simple, and I talk about this in the PDF, it could be as simple as gossiping about other people or unhealthy things that you don't like doing, right? But you feel kind of you have to with them. They love to push you outside your values. Why? Because they want to shape you into who they want and need you to be, right? They're not interested truly, right, narcissists, in who you really are. Only in love bombing and what's called idealization stages will they show real interest in, you know, asking questions about who you are to get information in order to manipulate you. But outside of that, they're not that interested in your life. And really, that's another red flag, you know, not being concerned about your life, not asking questions, forgetting important things that are important to you. Red flags. The next one, not taking accountability. Narcissists will not take accountability and responsibility for their actions. They will always be the victim or the hero in the story, never the villain. That is not balanced, right? So you'll notice that sometimes they could say things, but they're not taking accountability for their part. Narcissists love to punish their victims for if they do what is called a narcissistic injury, which is like when they damage their ego. So they'll often justify terrible behaviors. If they do confess to you something they've done that's not very nice, they'll explain the justification, right? But there's no justification for crappy behavior. Yeah, you just, you know, it's just not the right way round, right? So look at how they don't take responsibility and accountability. Narcissists, especially covert ones, my ex was like this, are renowned for things like road rage, right? He would get in the car and he would be commenting on every driver, right? That is a red flag. The road rage, not taking accountability and responsibility, right, for themselves, blaming everyone else. And like they've got a lot to say. They'll always have a lot to say about, well, often anyway, other people and putting them down. Because narcissists have a lot of contempt for other people. They think they're better than them. They think they're entitled to what they do. And like, they also show a lot of jealousy for people that have things, right, that they want or that they like. They're never sort of celebrating that, but we'll get on to that. Next point I want to make today, gaslighting, right? When they distort your reality. And at the beginning of a relationship, if you've just been freshly in and love bombed, like, you know, you're still wanting this to be the person, perhaps if it's romantic, you know, they will distort your reality. So you might mention something to them and they'll say, oh, that's not how it happened. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant to do. All that kind of stuff. They'll distort your perception of reality. Be aware of it, right? Be aware of it. If someone calls you crazy or something like that, be aware that they could be gaslighting you, making you doubt yourself, making you not trust yourself, and certainly making you not trust your instincts, yeah? They'll try and get you in your logical mind. Gaslight you, spin you in circles and get you in your logical mind, not feeling into your body and your intuition. That's why it's so good to drop down into your body, and you can intend to do this at any point. Just imagine all your energy in your head, drop it down into your heart. You could put your hand on your heart, be in your body, and be aware of things. Like just put your awareness in your body, because the body does know, the body has wisdom when something's off and when you're being gaslit. Breadcrumbing, right? Breadcrumbing is just giving you enough, right? Not really fulfilling your needs in the relationship, your needs, wants and desires, but just giving you enough to keep you on the hook. That's breadcrumbing. Be aware, and it's a red flag when someone puts you down, even if they're saying they're just teasing and it's a joke, right? This is the start of devaluing you, which is what the majority of the narcissistic relationship is. It's all about trauma bonding and devaluing you. Trauma bonding, I've talked about before on the channel. If you don't know what that is, it's when someone causes us really bad trauma, right? And our natural biological response is to want the person who caused the pain to take it away. And it forms a very strong enmeshment to the person, even though they're also our persecutors. So being put down, even teasingly, right? This is not the way to get into a fantastic relationship. You should be being built up by your partner, your friend, your parent, right? So when you're being put down, yeah, even if it's sarcastic, right? Being put down is not funny. I mean, it can be, right? If it's really playful and it's not happening a lot, but like, if it's upsetting you and you say to a friend, I know you're just making a joke, but I really don't like those kind of jokes at my expense. I'm actually quite self-conscious about that, or whatever they're talking about. See how that person responds. A narcissist will just do it again often, right? Because they know it hurts you and they get off on it. So being devalued, diminished, dismissed, passive aggressive behaviors, which are renowned more from the covert narcissists, right? Where they just ignore you. They use silence as a weapon. Now, people said to me before, which is a very good point, I teach silence to actually to defend yourself against narcissists, right? Just cut the conversation short, keep it to the point, get my PDF, just email me and get that free PDF, which would really help you with communication tools with toxic people. But when I recommend in my work using silence, I'm using it in defense, to defend and protect ourselves, right? From disclosing and oversharing. This is another thing, right, that we have to be aware of, not to overshare too soon. It can be so exciting when you meet someone that you think is your ideal partner or a great friend, could be a great friend. We give away our deepest desires and deepest fears. See my video on do not share these things with a narcissist, right? And even with other people, wait, be patient. People have to earn your trust, right? Really, really remember that, because it's from oversharing. The narcissist will try and get you to do that they can actually then really think about your vulnerabilities, and they will attack them later. So if you're being devalued or diminished, they use silence passive aggressively as a weapon to punish you. There's a really big difference in what I'm teaching about using silence to defend yourself, keep things closer to your chest to start with while you get to know someone and while they earn your trust, then using it as a weapon to hurt someone. They will use passive aggressive silence in order to punish you when you set a boundary, for example, or when you really need to resolve an issue with them. They'll disappear or just go silent on you. So it's very different, right? Silence can be used in a number of ways. And one is in defense, is what I teach for us. And the other is in attack, which is how a narcissist uses it to punish you. Beware of them moving the things too fast. Beware of them. I was with a narcissist, and he introduced me to all these people really soon. One, that was too fast for when we were in the relationship. Now I look back on it. And two, it was so that he looked like he was really popular and had all these connections. What I found out a year later, after being in a relationship with him, was he hardly knew these people, right? But it was all set up. They're great at setting up these great webs of flying monkeys and enablers and people who help maintain the illusion of their image, right? So be aware of when you're meeting parents and close friends and they're setting up the perfect fairy tale, that it might not be, if it's a narcissist you're dealing with, what they're pretending it is. They'll portray what they think you need them to portray in order to get on the hook quicker with them, right? And keep you on the hook. Be aware of they put down other people and how they talk about other people. If you're noticing patterns in that, how they're criticizing people a lot, right? That is a red flag. And jealousy, right? If they show jealousy. Next ones I want to talk about is lack of emotional intimacy and support. Narcissists don't have empathy, right? When it comes down to it, you'll feel like something's missing. Even if they tell you they love you, right? Because love's not on the menu with the narcissist, by the way. But emotional intimacy. Now, for a lot of us, right, intimacy is quite challenging because we're sharing our hearts, we're sharing what's important to us. So take your time, don't be rushed. But at the same time, you'll notice that you won't know much about how they truly feel. They'll say more with words to try and appeal to your logical brain. But if you really feel into your feelings and how you feel they feel, like your senses, you'll notice that they're not capable of emotional intimacy and true emotional support at all, right? They're also pretty cryptic, like in text and stuff. Like they'll often be very cryptic, like strange messages that seem inappropriate just to get your attention. Like they do cryptic stuff. They do all sorts of stuff, but I don't want to make this video too long. So if you've got some red flags that I haven't mentioned, or if you've got experience of these red flags, do put them in the comments. I love having the conversation around this, right? Because it's really important for us to share experiences. If you want the free PDF, ellie@elliefrost.com, just email me. I like the PDF and I'll send it straight to you. I'm doing a special, so if you get into Sovereign, which is so good, my program on healing and shifting your energy, there's energy work, there's trainings, there's a whole program of healing from this, breaking trauma bonds, coming into your authentic power and truth, setting good boundaries, knowing how to do that, living by your values and manifesting your best life, right? It's a great place to be. So if you want to join Sovereign, please email me as well for that, and I'll give you the link because my website isn't up at the moment. I'm doing some work behind the scenes. Otherwise, lots of love, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.